Water whispers and who's watching the tap. Hey, you. Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one that's pouring a glass of tap water right now, or rinsing your kid's strawberries, or filling up the dog's bowl. I want you to hold that water for a second and look at it. Because today we're going to talk about what exactly is in our water. We think nothing, right? And let's talk about who's watching it and who's telling you not to ask questions about it. I'm your manure banin, and yes, I am about to spread some truth that smells a little, but trust me, it grows good things, so welcome back. Before we go any further, a quick note. A lot of what I'm sharing today is my opinion, formed from my own research, my own observations, and my own time spent looking into things. Most people don't have the patience to look into this stuff. That's okay. I'm going to tell you when I'm stating a fact and when I'm stating an opinion, because most of you are grown adults and you can handle both. Let's start with a big one. Water rights and water access are not abstract policy issues. They are kitchen table, bathtub, garden hose issues. They are whether your child can take a bath tonight without absorbing something that you can't pronounce. They're whether the tomatoes you grew with so much love are quietly carrying a passenger that you never invited in. Here in the Coachella Valley, water is definitely not infinite. It's not a faucet that just runs forever because the city says so. It's a shared, fought over, fragile resource. It's a human right, and it is pulled from aquifers that don't refill at the speed that we drain them. And different parts of this valley are served by different water agencies with different rules, different oversights, and frankly, different track records. So today I want to talk specifically about the Desert Hot Springs and the Mission Springs Water District, because that's where my own research has taken me and that's where I have concerns. And I think the public deserves to hear that out loud. And to be clear up front, what I'm about to share is my opinion based on my own findings. Findings that are found by using public records, asking for public records, asking for copies of information, as well as the public information that is available from the water district. I'm not handing you a lab report. I'm handing you the questions that I think every single resident, every parent, every gardener, every farmer in this entire service area should be asking. So Desert Hot Springs made a choice years ago to welcome cannabis cultivation in a big way. And I think that that's fantastic. That's a business decision. And I'm not here to argue any politics of legalization. I think that it's been very beneficial for our community as a whole and for the people that are able to use it. What I am here to argue, though, is that when a city opens its doors to a high water use, high chemical input industry, that city has a responsibility, a non negotiable responsibility to be strict, to be transparent, and to be ahead of the contamination question, not behind it. In my opinion, based on what I have seen and read, that bar has not been met the way that it should be. Cannabis cultivation, depending on how it's done, can involve pesticides, fungicides, fertilizers, heavy metal accumulation in plant tissue, and processed water that has to go somewhere. When the oversight on what enters the soil and the local water is too loose, the consequences do not stay inside the fence line of a grow operation or even of that city. Water moves, soil moves. What gets dumped, sprayed, or quietly released seeps into the ground that we all share. And Mission Springs Water District, which is the agency responsible for the water in much of this area, is, in my view, the agency that owes residents the clearest possible answers about what's being monitored, how often, where, and what the results actually show in plain English, or Spanish or Tagalog. Families pay for vagueness, especially children. Children whose developing bodies absorbed more per pound than ours as adults do. Children whose skin, and I want you to really understand this because sometimes this comes as a shock still. When our skin is the largest organ that we have in our body and kids are developing and absorb more and their skin is also the largest organ they have, it's not a raincoat. It drinks, it breathes. Whatever you bathe your baby in, whatever they swim in, whatever you let them splash through in the backyard sprinkler, that's going into their system. That's the end of it. So there are 3 doors that contamination seems to walk through to get into the human body. The first is skin, bathing, swimming, washing dishes, hands in the garden. The second is what we eat and drink, so straight ingestion. And the third was one that almost nobody talks about. It's actually the soil and the plants that we grow our food in. If the water irrigating your backyard lettuce is carrying something, your backyard lettuce is now carrying something too. You didn't add it, but the water did. So let's name one of those passengers, hexavalent chromium, chromium 6, the Aaron Brockovich one, since that was brought up by somebody earlier this week. And I want to be honest, chromium 6 is, in my opinion, the least of what we should be worried about in compromised water. It happens to be the famous one. It's the one that people recognize. But behind it stands a whole lineup: pesticide residues, heavy metals, agricultural and cultivation runoff, industrial byproducts, pharmaceutical traces. And I know I bring this up a lot when I'm discussing why you want to care where your compost comes from, why you want to care where the soil that your plants are growing in comes from, or how it's made. But when somebody tells you that water meets federal standards, ask a follow up. Federal standards for what? Tested when? At which sampling point? Because the standard a utility is meeting might be a standard written decades ago for contaminants we now understand very differently, especially in small bodies. And that's not fear mongering. That's a question that a responsible parent is allowed to ask. Now let's talk about a word that has been doing some heavy lifting lately: transparency. When a special district receives a transparency award, what does that actually mean? And in practice, it often means that they submitted a checklist. They've posted documents to a website. A panel reviewed the paperwork and said, yes, technically the boxes are checked. What it doesn't always mean is that the public can walk into a meeting and get a real answer to a real question. It doesn't mean that residents are being told what's in their water in an English or in a language that they can understand. It doesn't mean a parent calling about contamination concerns get a call back in the same week. A transparency award is a trophy. Transparency is a behavior. They are not the same thing. And this is something that I think everyone should really sit with. It's also my opinion, stated plainly. If a utility is under public scrutiny, if people are asking hard questions about contamination, about runoff, about cannabis-related impacts, for example, about who gets what contract, then no staff member of that utility, especially one who holds a transparency title, should be out there embedding themselves in local community groups trying to do PR work. That is not community engagement. That is reputational management. And it's doing so in a community engagement facade. So if you happen to find yourself in a nonprofit, in a gardening group, in a neighborhood committee, and someone from the very agency that people are concerned about is suddenly very interested in being involved, you're allowed to notice that. You're allowed to ask why. You're allowed to ask what their job description actually is and whether the community involvement is part of it or whether it's a soft form of damage control. Trust is built by answering questions, not by joining the room where the questions are being asked and steering the conversation. My opinion is that that is the opposite of transparency. Now I'm going to step over briefly to discuss a different city, and this is going to be because the pattern repeats. The city of Coachella, more specifically the town hall that just happened on the 11th of May, 2026. Different jurisdiction, same instinct. Shushing the public, censoring residents, and yes, I do mean shushing, treating speakers like an inconvenience. When public officials are comfortable, they welcome questions. When they're uncomfortable, they manage the room. They control who speaks for how long and what gets entered into the record. That's not a town hall. That is a stage play with an audience that's basically hoped to be clapping on cue. So to my neighbors who got shushed, you didn't do anything wrong by showing up and speaking. You did the thing that democracy was built for, and this country was, well, kind of in a way founded on. And the people who were uncomfortable with you doing it are the people that you should be watching the closest. Now I'm going to zoom out because something is coming over the horizon, and that is specifically data centers. The giant warehouses full of servers that power AI, streaming the cloud, they're extraordinarily thirsty. They use enormous amounts of water for cooling, and they're coming to the desert. They're coming to our desert because the land is cheap, power is available, and frankly, because we haven't said no. And they're using zoning like logistics centers and warehouses because there is no current zoning for data centers. So what does that mean for the Coachella Valley? Competition? Competition for the same aquifers that grow our dates, our citrus, our table grapes, our peppers? Competition for the water that fills the irrigation lines at every small farm and family garden? Every gallon a data center pulls is a gallon that didn't go to a row of food or to give to kids that are outside in PE. Ask the questions now. Don't ask them at a town hall 5 years from now when you're being shushed. Okay, so I've poured a lot of heaviness into your cup of water today. So let me hand you a towel because our valley is so full of people that are doing the work quietly, beautifully, and without waiting for permission. Some examples of this are from the land and their partnership with Blue Zones. These folks are rebuilding the relationship between community and real, traceable, locally grown food. Blue Zones isn't a trend. It's the science of how communities live longer, healthier lives, and it starts with what's on the plate and who you share it with. I think it's also really important to note that no one here has sponsored me or asked me to speak about them. I just think these organizations deserve a little spotlight for the things that they've been doing. Primus Permaculture and Composting is in Palm Springs. She's growing the most beautiful seedlings that I have seen come out of this valley in a long time. Seedlings that start in healthy soil, they grow into plants that feed you something worth eating, and her composting work closes the loop that most cities never finish, taking what we'd throw away and turn it back into life. Now we move to New Earth Creator, keeping our water table safe by going after illegally dumped trash, the stuff that people quietly haul into the desert and leave to leach into the ground that we all drink from. And on top of that, helping to connect community members with items that would otherwise hit landfills, items that become enrichment for animals on farms and in sanctuaries. That's regeneration in action. These are people who deserve the awards, not the ones checking a transparency box on a form. The ones on their knees in the dirt, sorting through what others discarded, growing what others will eat. People who are organizing their community, making sure that people are fed, people have access to water, people have the support that they need, people can get to meetings. Follow those people. Support those people. Buy from those people. Share those people. Volunteer. And volunteering can happen in so many ways. We're so used to the traditional labor trade-off for volunteering that we forget that there's so much more that we have to offer. Our groups, our communities, our volunteering organizations, and our nonprofits. Don't sell yourself short. And that is how you vote with your hands. So before I let you go, I have some homework. If you have been in any of our dog training classes, then you know I love giving homework. So first one, get a water test, not the city's district report, an independent test of what comes out of your tap. Knowledge is the cheapest thing you'll ever buy. And I say this knowing that if you get results that are alarming, there's a good chance that you'll be told that it has something to do with your plumbing. So know what plumbing you have first. And if you don't, see if somebody in the community is willing to come by and let you know, and then look into that. 2, go to a meeting, a water district board meeting, a city council meeting, a planning commission meeting, a county board of supervisors meeting. Sit there, listen, ask a question, even if it's just one. Meet one of the people that I named today. Put a real human face on the alternative. So when someone tries to tell you this is just how it is, then you'll know that that's not how it is. And stop trusting blindly. That's our step 4. A title is not a promise. An award is not a behavior. A smile at a community meeting from someone whose job is to make the agency look good is not the same as an answer to your question. Ask and ask again. Ask in writing. Ask in public. At the end of the day, your skin is your largest organ. The food you eat is right behind it. The water you bathe in, drink in, swim in, and grow with is doing all 3 jobs at once. So pay attention to what you're handing your body and what you're handing to your kids. Everything I shared about Desert Hot Springs, Mission Springs Water District, and the practices that I'm concerned about, which is my opinion, formed from my own research and my own findings, I want you to do your own. I want you to ask your own questions, and I want you to come to your own conclusions, not because the manure maiden told you, but because you are the one who has to drink the water. I'm the manure maiden, and keep asking questions that they wish you wouldn't. And I will see you next time.